a lot of victims do take on that it was my fault. I brought it on. There was something that I did to make this thing happen. But on the flip side, I've heard the actual opposite of that happening. I think I've heard of women being so upset by that victimization that they need to, they go the opposite way in getting their power back, and they become sexually dominant people, you know, because it's like, I'm never going to allow that sort of thing. And so
powerlessness.
Because I think that's what, I mean, more than, I think personally, I could be wrong in this, so don't get mad at me, YouTube. But I think more than the actual sex part of the rape, it is that feeling of helplessness and powerlessness that is the most devastating, or one of the most devastating parts of sexual assault.
And this is an area that I think is really weird, because women who dominate the courts, women win in court. They just win. Court is friendly in a lot of ways to women. I'm sorry, it is. Just, you know, you guys lose, yeah, but you win a lot. You win a whole lot. I'm just saying.
Women lose in court.
But I'm making a point.
Okay.
Depends on what it is.
How about it?
All right.
I forgot. Women talk, they don't listen. Now, here we go.
Okay. Us women, damn.
There is an issue for women, though. A real serious issue for women. Right? And that is, a lot of times you guys get villainized. How often do you hear about the courts villainizing women when they're talking about the dress? A lot of times, you know, the defendant, or they will go at the woman and be like, well, how were you dressed? And how did you present yourself? And really, it kind of gives the man kind of a coupon to say,
you know what?
If her boobs are out, if her ass is out, if her legs is out, she might be a hoe, she might be promiscuous, she might be this or that, and she may have asked for her power to be taken. Brandy!
Yeah, no, I have a comment to say, and this is going broader into the world, but I think that historically, that is kind of the attitude that is had about, like, rape and the man overtook me, but you were kind of being provocative, or you provoked him, or whatever. I was in Dubai back in August, and I was with my friends, and she had her kid, and it was a family vacation, so I was the only kind of single individual. But I was afraid to go out by myself, not only because it was a Muslim country, and I was a single female, but there was a case. There was a case in that country going on right then. Actually, there was a Norwegian girl that had just been released from jail. She had been in jail for the past, if I'm not mistaken, almost a year or so. Or she had been stuck in that country because she was on a work trip. She was working in Abu Dhabi. She was on a work trip with some of her coworkers in Dubai. They all went out. They went, had party, had drinks, whatever. One of her coworkers walked her back to her hotel room. When that happened, I guess somehow in the midst of that, he took her in the room and he raped her, and she called the police on him. She got arrested for making fraudulent police reports. I don't know. There was a whole the guy, basically everything turned on her, and she ended up being locked up and put in jail for whatever activity that they deemed as inappropriate for her, because she shouldn't.
Was she a foreigner?
Well, yeah, she was a foreigner, but she was living in the Emirates. She was living in Abu Dhabi.
Muslim?
She was not. She was Norwegian.
Yeah, gets a little sticky, doesn't it?
Yeah, so they, and the reason I say that is because I think that is, and that's a place that probably maybe isn't progressive in the thinking as the U.S.
Even
but
the
that's historically how it's thought about.
Right.
Like, it's your fault. You're in jail.
Right. Even the Quran will say, if your woman gets a little out of line, you can beat her. The Quran, the holy book of the Islamic religion, says you may strike her. Darba. You may strike her is the word. Darba. You may strike her. She gets a little out of hand. Slippity slappity. Get you right back in line.
Sound like some man.
Flippity slappity.
I'm just saying.
Flippity slappity is the funniest thing.
We've got callers. Caller, come in. You're on the line. Name and where you calling from?
This is Veronica.
Hey, Veronica. Grown woman time. Because these
listen,
kittens.
we're not going to sit back and allow you to
Yeah.
Veronica,
you
2%.
kitten.
Remember, 2%.
Anyway, we have Real Woman Time on the phone. Can we talk about gaining your power back from a traumatic event like, having your power taken through sexual assault, and how do women recover from that, and how, when they don't recover, how it affects their relationships in negative ways? And can you go into that some, please?
Sure. And I've heard the most recent part of the conversation, so I think it's a very important conversation. I'm glad you're addressing this. I'll say a couple of things. I think, first of all, that we live in a world that infantilizes male sexuality and criminalizes female sexuality. So the reason that you have this notion that men just can't control themselves in the presence of female sexuality,
like we're kids, right? We're just children.
Right, that men are sexual children, and that women are somehow sexually evil, and so whatever they invite by being a natural expression of femininity is somehow inherently evil. And I think that was a trick that got played when men, way back in the day, when men got envious of female power and female sexuality and unbridled female wildness, and decided to attempt to control it.
Veronica, that is powerful. Go deeper into male envy of female sexual power. Please go deeper.
Well,
Wrong woman on the phone.
When you think about it, female sexuality got legislated in the era of marriage because, the egoic mind wanted to know what was happening to its property after it left the planet. So in order to know that, the institution of marriage and woman as property and the egoic mind wanted to know what's going to happen to my property after I'm in my grave. And the only way that I can know that is if I control the woman's sexuality and I know who the heirs are.
Oh.
So the institution of marriage was not created for the sake of love. It was created for the sake of property.
So why are women... Never mind. That's another story. Continue.
So with the advent of marriage as a legal controlling force, that's when men began to look at women as something that they needed to control. And in order to perpetuate that system, and in order to have people adopt to it and agree to it and co-sign it, you had to train people in the sort of the disinformation campaigns, so if they would behave, they'd stay in line. You'd have to infantilize male sexuality and criminalize female sexuality.
Wow.
So that you could maintain it without having people self-enforce it.
So just listening to what you're saying right now, it makes it very difficult to prosecute or prove rape unless you got DNA, or because you can always go back and forth using these argument tactics. She was presented a certain way and she's, of disrepute. You can paint the picture, because I had a lawyer tell me it's not about the truth in court. Has nothing to do with the truth. Not a single bit. It has to do with who's the best painter, the prosecution or the defendant. Like, they're people who paints the better picture. And whoever paints the best picture gets either guilty or not guilty, gets free or jailed. It's really that simple.
Correct. But see, the court is simply an extension of the larger cultural imperative, right? The court is simply it's an enforcing body that reinforces the paradigm that women's sexuality somehow needs to be
Wow.
That's right. And
wow.
so it's simply a reflection of that.
Wow.
But
so Veronica,
we as women buy into it. See, we're so powerful. There was an instance in a small town where the women got together, and this sounds a little bit funny, but it just demonstrates the power of the Punani, right? Women got together, and they wanted some legislation passed in the town, and the men were dragging their feet on it, and that legislation impacted the community and impacted the children in the community. So women got together, and they made a pact, and they said, nobody fucks until this is handled.
All right. This is
fun. And so don't you know
go
that
deeper.
it got handled.
It got dealt with
right away. right? And women had to come into a path that had some integrity with it. Now, I'm not saying that we want to use our sexuality hostage, but I'm saying that we underestimate the power that we have as women because we're so busy running around looking for male approval.
Ooh, uh-oh.
Because of the paradigm that we sit in. So we don't actually assert appropriately our right power because we don't even understand
Well, wait a minute,
how
Veronica.
we've been conditioned and the hypnosis that we operate in.
Veronica, wait. These are children here. This is you're feeding them meat when they deserve milk.
Hello.
I want you to hold on 1 second, Veronica.
No.
We've got.
That's just disrespectful.
I want to keep Veronica on the line. We have another caller. Veronica, just wait. We're going to come right back to you. Caller, you're on the line. Where are you calling from?
This is the brother Soul Wonder. What's going on, everybody?
Soul
Wonder.
Wonder. What's happening?
Nothing good. Doing good. Is Veronica still online?
Yes, she is.
Yes. On the air?
She's on hold.
She's on hold. Cause I wanted to ask her some questions when she goes into how the court system was used to not demonize, but to
Victimize.
I guess in the word demonize the woman's sexuality.
Yeah.
No, she said demonize, not victimize.
But victimize is part of it.
What I don't see how that is when that same woman can lay up there and have a baby by a guy and use that baby against a guy to hustle with. So I don't understand how that how it's, in my opinion, it's actually quite the opposite. But she is right when women do not know the power that they do have, and to me, it comes from not knowing their self-worth.
That's true. Amen.
Well, thank you for the call, Soul Wonder. You know, we always appreciate you reaching out. Thanks for the call. We're going to go back to Veronica so she could deal with that. Did you hear what he asked?
Yeah, I did hear what he asked. So those are sort of two different things. In other words, the cultural imperative for misogyny that's baked in and built into our culture as a way of controlling women, that's something in and of itself. And the way the court system when the way the court system enforces that is different than, say, the child support system. I mean, it's kind of two different topics.
I think he was just trying to make a point that women typically play the victim role in court, and when we go to family court, where the child support situation is typically dealt with, women come out the victor more time than the loser in the family court context.
Understand something.
Brandy disagrees. Brandy?
No, I don't disagree. I'm saying it when you go into court, based on an assault on a person, that's one thing. But when you go into court, when you're trying to get help provided for your child, that's like a completely other thing.
I think he was saying it is two different things. Everybody agrees that that's apples and oranges. Right. Veronica outlined that. Brandy, you've outlined that. But not to get off on another subject, I just think he was saying there is a branch of court where women are adept at being victorious by playing the victim. That's what he was trying to say. Off topic, by the way.
Totally.
So I have something to add. I think that the lady that's on the line, thank you for saying what she said. Veronica's
get her name
she's
right.
On point. Veronica's on point. Respect.
Take notes.
Please. I can give some notes and stuff.
Wrong.
But listen. This is very interesting because rape is the only violent crime where women are actually accused and called to prove that something bad happened to them. And they're being victimized all over again. Were you penetrated? Did you say no? Or what were you wearing? And they're blamed for the crime. There are no other crimes that happens with. And also, in the United States, approximately about 10% of rapes are supposedly reported. So think about how many other people are being raped.
It is very
and a lot of women don't want to come. And women don't want to come forward because they believe that they're going to be victimized and they don't want to go through that again. It's terrible when somebody violates your body and your soul and your spirit without your permission, and then you're supposed to go to somebody and get help, and then they're sitting there looking at you like you did something wrong. That's
what? You're a beautiful woman.
Yeah. What?
I'm doing the sandwich technique.
Okay.
You're a beautiful woman. Compliment first, and then the truth.
Okay.
Very, very one-dimensional.
Really?
You're overprotective of women.
No.
There is some responsibility.
Yeah, there's some women who lie and cheat and make a bad name for all of them, but most women I don't believe are lying.
Can I finish my point?
Sure. Sorry.
You like to talk through people, too. There's more.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to hear.
Veronica, go ahead. Finish.
Well, there's a few that happened. Two women And it's sort of similar to the psychological warfare that's happening against Black people. There's a tremendous disinformation, misinformation campaign that has happened that's in the cultural paradigm that teaches women, that trains and conditions women away from their innate power.